The event took over an hour, but we're going to do the highlights in about 5 minutes. They recapped the iOS 7 and iPhone 5C and 5S launches, biggest iPhone launch ever with 9 million sold as of last month and 200 million devices running iOS 7 in the first 5 days. But if by run they mean what my iPhone 4 does with iOS 7, then Mr. Cook and I can agree to disagree about that particular number. First up, for new stuff, is OS X Mavericks. No more cat names, we're switching to locations in California. Mavericks improves power efficiency, promising longer browsing time and movie playback, and adds memory compression for inactive RAM. Having 6 gigs of data in 4 gigs of RAM sounds awesome and is much better than swapping that data from the SSD. Mavericks also dynamically resizes the system RAM allocated as a GPU frame buffer, so if the GPU needs more RAM, it can grab it on demand. Now, why would you want more RAM for your integrated graphics? Well, it supports OpenCL now, which means you can use the GPU to yield better performance with supported workloads. The new software features include better multi-display support, Maps and iBooks apps, notifications that can be dealt with without losing focus on the current application, document and file tagging, the iCloud keychain for password management, and a lot more. It's a single-step upgrade and it's free for pretty much anyone who bought an Apple computer in the last half dozen years. Damn. The Retina MacBook Pro, about time, right, is here with Haswell 4th generation Intel Core Series processors in 13-inch and 15-inch varieties. The 13-inch is under 3.5 pounds and 0.71 inches thick. It features Thunderbolt 2, a PCI Express-based SSD, Intel Iris graphics, up to 9 hours of battery life, and AC wireless. It's also $200 cheaper than the old model for a base config with a 2.4 GHz i5 dual-core, 4 gigs of RAM, and a 128 gig SSD. The 15-inch model is quad-core Core i7 only and gets AC wireless, PCIe, SSD tech, Thunderbolt 2, up to 8 hours of battery life, and is just generally beefier in every possible way. But on top of a discrete NVIDIA GeForce GT 750M option, it has Intel Iris Pro onboard graphics with Crystalwell, which is a 128 meg cache that acts as an overflow for the CPU's level 3 cache and can assist with either CPU or GPU intensive tasks. It also gets a $200 price reduction for the base model, which has 8 gigs of RAM and a 256 gig SSD. We've got almost every detail except a release date other than this year sometime for the upcoming Mac Pro. It runs Xeons in quad, 6, 8, or 12 core configs and can have up to 30 megs of level 3 cache. It has 40 PCIe Gen 3 lanes and uses DDR3 1866 ECC memory and can be configured with up to 64 gigs of that in a quad channel config. It runs dual AMD FirePro GPUs in a variety of configurations up to some pretty overpowered looking stuff, and uses a PCI Express based SSD that can handle up to 1 gigabyte per second write speeds. Thunderbolt 2 hasn't seen much adoption, but that doesn't stop the new Mac Pro from having 6 ports, allowing 3 4K displays and overall as many as 36 devices, including external PCIe enclosures, storage devices, and whatever else you can imagine to be connected. Power consumption at idle is improved, but I guess that's bound to happen when you skip entire generations of processor technology in between your product refreshes, and idle noise tends to scale pretty tidily with idle power, but I need you to show me load numbers and then I'll care. Mark my words, guys, this machine will not be quiet under load. AC wireless is standard, and a very humdrum looking config looks like it'll run you around $3,000. iLife suite updates include iOS 7 makeovers and iCloud integration for iPhoto, iMovie, and GarageBand. You can have more tracks in GarageBand, their Pages, Numbers, and Keynotes applications now support live editing, and some other neato features. Not going to spend much time on that though. It's not that these updates aren't very important, they are. It's just that this is called Tech Quickie, and creating a concert poster of yourself isn't tech in the same way that dual Fire Pro cards in a PC the size of a novelty trash bin that sits on your desk is. With that said, iWork is now completely free, which is awesome. Free OS and free productivity suite. If I'm Microsoft and I'm not making money on hardware to fund the development of my software, I am scared right now. iPad larger version, Apple can't seem to decide what to call this thing from generation to generation, gets a new look and a new name. The ID has been updated to be more like the iPad mini, and it's called the iPad Air now. It's 43% thinner than the previous model on the bezel and 20% thinner in thickness. less. It's 1 pound compared to 1.4 pounds, and it has the new A7 chip, same as the iPhone 5S. A refresher for those who don't remember, that means a 64-bit processor, up to 8 times better CPU performance than the iPad 1, 72 times better GPU performance than the iPad 1, and the M7 Motion coprocessor. MIMO wireless has been added, which is a huge deal for heavy wireless users, and it's not like iPads have Ethernet ports, so yeah, you kind of rely on wireless. I guess they added some other incremental upgrades too. Dual mics stand out to me as a really nice feature for better voice communication, for example. It's available in silver/white and space gray/black, and is expensive as balls considering that it's a 16 gig tablet. But let's face it, apparently 80% of you are using iOS compared to Android for your tablet experience, so it must be worth it, right? It's available starting November 1st. The iPad mini has been given the Retina treatment as expected with a 7.9-inch 2048 by 1536 display. It gets a 10-hour battery life, the same A7 with M7 Motion coprocessor combo as its big brother. Get it? M7 knows where you are, and so does Big Brother. So anyway, sorry. It has an A7 processor and MIMO wireless, which means it is dramatically faster in every possible way than the iPad mini 1. It also comes in silver/white and space gray/black, and is more expensive than the original iPad mini, which looks like it'll be a continuing model. There are new colorful covers to protect your screen and new colorful cases if you want to protect your whole iPad. And here's pricing of the whole family of iPad products. I hope you've enjoyed this video. We appreciate your support. Speaking of support, our sponsor for this video is Hotspot Shield, and they're offering 20% off elite prices with offer code Linus. Hotspot Shield is a VPN solution that works on desktop PCs, notebook PCs, and mobile devices that enhances your privacy online by obscuring your IP address, which can be used to identify you and even locate you to a pretty fair degree of accuracy. It enables you to circumvent regional restrictions on services such as Netflix, and on iOS devices even allows you to save money on your mobile data plan by compressing your data in real time. Visit the link in the video description and use offer code Linus to save 20% off your elite plan today. This has been a bit of a different format for us, so we'd love to have your feedback. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, leave a comment if you want to see more summaries of launches or events here on Tech Quickie, and as always guys, don't forget to subscribe.